I know you're good. Well, I'm going to snog same one.
What?
Candyman.
Master? Joking.
Hi, I'm Jodie Whittaker.
And I'm Mandip, Gill, and we are talking all things Doctor Who,
Past, present and future with Attitude Magazine.
Snog, marry, exterminate. These three iconic villains. We've got the Candyman, we've got the Master, and we've got an Ood.
Right, do you want to go?
You go first, you go first.
What do you think I'm going to snog?
I know you're good. Well, I'm going to snog same one.
What?
Candyman.
Master? Joking. No, I'm going to snog Candyman.
We'll both snog the Candyman.
I love sweets.
Yeah, because why not? We're going to have different ones now.
Right, wait, marry?
So I'm saying this as... Yeah, I'm saying this as Jodie, not the Doctor, because I wouldn't exterminate anyone. I would, but the Doctor wouldn't exterminate anyone. I would marry an Ood.
I'm going to marry the Master. That'll be fun times. Keep me on my toes
Just
all the
arguing
time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'd exterminate, but I would never exterminate the Master. But I think, you know, he's caused me quite a few dramas these past
Not as you
years.
as Jodie, though. He's done naught to you as Jodie.
No, he hasn't.
So we won't exterminate, we'll just put him outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the Ood outside, just because it looks a bit scary.
Yeah, but...
I know, but I don't want to snog him.
There you go.
I think I'd snog and marry the Master. But maybe that's cool to me. Okay, so this one's for Jodie. You're going on a night out. Which classic Doctor look would you pull out of the TARDIS wardrobe?
Okay, so I'm on a night out, and the classic Doctor look I would pull out the wardrobe has got to be Sylvester McCoy, because I love his little hat, and I just think it'd really bring out my eyes.
Which Doctor do you think had the biggest fashion hit and biggest fashion miss?
I don't think there's a miss, because essentially, subconsciously, I've been a part of that decision, and I don't think I've made any errors over those years and years and years. But one for me, which is a complete probably contradiction to what you would say as being a leather jacket wearer, is I'm a fan of Chris Eccleston's. And also, I bet his jacket's warm, whereas you've had to wear a leather jacket a lot of the time, and you find it very restrictive.
Very restricting, yeah.
But I would say, if I'm going to say one miss, it's not a miss for the look of it, because it is so cool. But I would say a Tom Baker scarf, I think for continuity I'd find it a bit hot and bothering, and someone has to, the thing about filming is someone has to come in and move the scarf and make sure the mic's there, and that, I think it would require too much maintenance. But if it's a night out, I'm fine with that.
I have to say, I know it's not my question, but I think you've gone wrong. Because
It's not your question.
No, because when it's really cold, imagine that long scarf like 10 times.
I know, but he
round.
says a night out. I'm thinking we're going somewhere like...
You've got to get to the place, it's cold. You've never been out in Yorkshire.
I'm not criticising any of them costumes.
Mandip, this one is for you. Which classic companion look would you rock in the club? We've got Ace, Rose, and Sarah Jane Smith.
Oh my God. I'm definitely going to go with Ace. If I had to rock a look, I'm going to wear Ace's jacket.
Yeah.
Because comfort
Also,
is key.
I'd
She's
say
trendy.
so
She's
trendy.
so trendy.
Come back.
She wore cool boots like I do.
Right,
Not me in
picking
real
yourself
life,
up.
me as Jazz. Wears cool boots, and the jacket's just
Yeah.
big, comfy, get loads of layers under there.
Yeah, I agree.
Gonna go Ace.
I'll allow that.
What were the best reactions that you had from like friends and family when they found out that you'd been cast in Doctor Who?
Go on, that's a good one for you.
Oh, is it
Because
for
you
me
didn't,
though?
you
Both
didn't
of
tell
you?
anyone.
Oh, look. My best reaction, I mean, it was my own reaction, I'll be honest. I started crying in the street when I found out about Doctor Who. I'd taken myself for a walk to Sainsbury's, and then I got a call, and then I started crying, and I thought, why am I crying? That's just so out of character. But I've never been... I'm not an emotional person like that. Like, I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. Yeah, I went to the audition, so, you know, this could have happened. Whereas it just took me by surprise. So I think it doesn't matter what anyone else's reaction was. Me crying was amazing.
I think in, like, I suppose family and friends, it was the fact that really close people, their reaction of just, I think it relieved a lot of people to know that I could keep a secret. Because obviously in life, you keep a lot of secrets, don't you, of your mates and stuff. And I think it was just more of a relief that were like, oh yeah, you can keep a secret because you have not told us this. But then I think there was a reaction that I saw online, because obviously I got sent stuff, I'm not on it, so I don't get to see the social media reaction. And someone sent me a reaction of Crystal D watching it live, and the hand reveal, and I found her as a massive Whovian and as someone who loves the show. I found her reaction to be really moving because, I don't know, it's just, that's the kind of joy and the responsibility that you want to own and you want to do justice to.
Why do you think young boys also need positive female role models in their life?
I think, well, I've probably said this many times, but I think it's never been a question to us as kids. We were always, you know, you kind of always been expected to look up to men. There's never been the debate for women. It's something that was, you know, that is someone you look up to. And so for it to be a question the other way around, or maybe for some people, a debate in some instances, that maybe, you know, boys or men looking up to women is something that needs to be explained. I just feel as if like characters that become role models or individuals that become role models is purely down to the connection and the ability to maybe show something in a different light or in a way that you might not see it. Now that can come from anyone. It can come from someone who's 30 years younger than you. To have like a light bulb moment and go, that individual or that thing, that act has just inspired this. Obviously we know can come from anywhere, but it is really important that we encourage young lads for them to be in the position to go, yeah, that woman or that person that might not look like me, might be in a completely different life, that moment means something, and that should only be celebrated.
So just moving on to the show in general, Doctor Who's kind of been at the forefront of LGBTQ representation for a long time now. What does the support of your queer fan base mean to you, and have you had any nice experiences meeting those people?
I think what's really beautiful about the show, and has always been, I think the thing that really surprised me as a new Whovian coming in, was that it celebrates inclusivity on an epic scale. It's the idea that someone is an outsider is alien to the show, because the actual alien is in the inner of it, and the celebration of humanity. It celebrates humanity. Therefore, humanity should be represented. It should be, and we should have, you know, we should watch the show and feel as if every single person in every single walk of life is a part of this, because we don't have the boundaries of time periods. We don't have the boundaries of anything. There is this. Any society can be represented in this, literally on other planets. So for us to be in something that celebrates everyone is really important, because I think for us it's something where we sit, and it's something that, you know, it's who we are. So to be in such a show that then backs that up is really important. But I also think for little kids watching a TV show, you want to feel like you're in it. That's what all we've ever wanted. And gradually that became, you know, as a woman, that became a much easier thing to see the part and go, oh, that part ain't now being played by. So for everything to do with, you know, representation, that should be in every element. Every kid should see themselves.
Absolutely. Do you have a favourite queer character or storyline that's appeared on the show?
I think, like, yeah, we would talk about, yeah, I think.
She had a really, really nice relationship with her doctor. And
yeah, and I think because of the time, it feels, I think for, you know, because Pearl's, she's such a great actor, and I just think that, I think at that time as well, weirdly you feel as if, you know, like with my casting happened in 2017 or whatever, so obviously dates-wise, it's like, it shouldn't be a news story, but, you know, Bill's character shouldn't be a news story, but because it is, and it at least becomes a part of the conversation, and it is something that I think was really well represented, and and I thought, yeah, their chemistry was really brilliant.
Well, what can you tell us about this special and everything about it?
So I think what's going to be exciting for Whovians and for anyone who, you know, hasn't necessarily seen the series that's just aired is this is a standalone episode. It's high energy. It's one of the funniest things we've been in. There's a lot of comedy in it. It's a contained world. It's a contained for us as the cast, it's a small. There's 5 of us on screen together with the Daleks, and it's this.
There's adventure, there's
Jeopardy,
there's romance.
Yeah.
There's so many elements to this story in essentially one location with just 5 of us and loads of baddies.
And it's festively appropriate.
And it's fun, it's fast-paced.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You've come off something like The Flux, which is like, bam, 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 but also, you know, that journey started in Ep 1 and it takes you to Ep 6, whereas this starts and, you know, within 50 minutes or whatever, you have gone on an absolute journey. But I think the best thing about it was the kind of chemistry, particularly between Ajani and Aisling. They were brilliant. And for us, we'd been working together for, 7 months. So, but to just be in this little, for me and her, it was like being in a kind of masterclass of comedy, because them 3 were just hilarious the whole time. And a last question, and I just have to ask, what was your reaction to this moment going viral? Look, who's to say it shouldn't be spelt like that? Well, I'm from Hoodezfield too, and I am indeed, and I found this. I'm from an area called Fixby. You don't need to say that to me. I am actually from there. Yeah, just near the Big Asda, you know. Near the Big Asda? Yeah, near the Big Asda. But frankly, I found this. It put us on the map, even if it was spelt wrong. Hoodezfield. I think the panic in the person's fingers when trying to keep up with the speed at which I talk, my accent and everything. And I also thought I was being so posh because I knew I was on American TV and I was talking like this. And it didn't work. But Hoodezfield, I was like, that sounds like a planet. Yeah, so it really does. Some may say Hoodezfield is a bit like its own planet, But I think it makes it sound quite tropical. So I was delighted. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and comment down below with your favourite Doctor Who moments. And don't forget to check out The Eve of the Daleks on New Year's Day.